Number 3, show that the line through the points A 60 and B 012 is perpendicular to the line through P 810 and Q 48. To show that lines are perpendicular, we need to find their gradients, and then the product of their gradients should be equivalent to -1. So to find the gradient, we'll begin with A 60, then B 012. So the first value of a point is always along the x-axis, then the second one is always along the y-axis. So we'll say let this be x1, y1, and the second point be x2, y2. So to be able to obtain the gradient, we use the formula y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. Even if you start with y1 minus y2 all over x2 minus x1 minus x2, you'll still get the same solution. So we'll say y2 12 minus y1 0 all over x2 0 minus x1 6. So for this case here, we will obtain 12 all over -6. 12 all over -6, so that when you work out, here you'll get the answer to be -2. That is the gradient of the first point. Let's call it M1. Then secondly, you take the second point P. We have P 8, 10, and Q 4, 8. So we do the same. Let this be x1, y1, x2, y2. Then our gradient would be y2, which is 8, minus y1, which is 10, all over x2, which is 4, minus x1, which is 8. So for this case here, we get -2 all over -4. So negative will cancel, and 1 goes into 4 twice. So here we get the gradient to be a half. So let's call it M2 is equals to positive a half. Now for lines to be perpendicular, that means the gradient of the first one times the gradient of the second line should be equivalent to -1. So here our first gradient is -2. When you multiply by a half, which is M2, you can see that 2 goes here 1 time, so -1 times 1 is equals to -1. So therefore, the two lines are perpendicular. The two lines are perpendicular. We have proved because the product of their gradient is -1.